So I'm getting ready for the market open, and I'm trying to fine tune these EAs so that I don't have to look at them. The 4 hour seems to be a great breakout situation, but you have to have, it seems like, regardless of the magnitude of the follow through move, it seems like it's a lot higher probability that you're going to be able to make 20, 30, 40 pips with a 10 pip stop on a breakout blast through a 4 hour where there's huge excitement. It could be a fake out. It could break out for 30 pips and pull back, but this system is designed to take that first burst of irrational exuberance, and then the market could probably pull back. I don't have this thing getting a limit, so I'm restricted for the. But I've been doing testing it on other brokers, same currency pair, but some brokers don't have enough data in their data bank to fill in the missing gaps. But it seems like this one is kind of bulletproof in the sense that it only needs a very limited amount of data. I have just a 1 day look back. So the way I've configured this, and I can there's one of these that has a time frame that's probably not perfectly set. And you may want to adjust it. Right now, all the time frames are set to get in at 1 hour into the terminal time and 1 hour be close. So it's 2 hours of non-trading in the current version of this thing. This is the 12 pip stop, and it doesn't matter whether you're on the yen or you're on the euro to the dollar. But it does matter if you're trying to look at your ATR and decide if you're using the real ATR histogram at the bottom of your screen, the indicator is going to be distorted by 1 decimal point over. So it's not going to reflect the, it's going to be way off, scale wise. And this, so that's, but this EA doesn't care about that. It's not going to take that into consideration. It's just going to trade pips. It's not going to look at the average true range based upon the linear scale or whatever. This is just riding along with the market. So I didn't have to change anything here, but I did set the ATRs to 1 because I noticed that on the 4 hour charts you get a cleaner breakout. If you set this to 5, you may as well just put this on 1 and trade the breakout of the daily chart, because believe it or not, and it doesn't seem like it's possible, that breakouts in the daily have follow through to them eventually if you've got naturally enough money in your account or wide enough stop. So there is, when you're back testing one of these things and you see a glorious move like things like this, inside there could be little zigzags that if you open the account during any one of these pullbacks, you're screwed. So never forget the fact that you'd have to have more than one stop bot getting in with its own exits. And some are going to be outlandish, and the stop's going to be here, but that robot rarely trades unless maybe that one is set to the ATR filter of like, I'm waiting for a bunch of hours to pass. So if the ATR is set here to say 5, and you know what it's looking at, you know what it's thinking. The nice thing about this is no hocus pocus in here with moving averages and all that nonsense. It's just literally, hey, we're going up, I'm going with you. We're going down, I'm going with you. Market goes sideways. If you see a flag, hopefully these guys are going to grab it. Even though they're getting in from a stop standpoint, you're setting the delta to whatever the apex of that delta is for the entry. If you put the delta wide, which I haven't really bothered with, because to me I'd rather get on the outside delta with a limit for the ride up. Like, who wouldn't want to get in at the market on a stop and on a limit? But this thing's getting in on hysterical breakouts after, this has been going on for quite some time, and all of a sudden, bam. Not to say that you're not going to get kicked out of something, but if you don't have too many, this thing is you don't have a percentage risk here either. It's just, these are just straight numbers. There's no I was messing around with 3 other robots, about 5 other robots that were looking at like percentage of your account risk, and I'm like, you know what? I just want to know the flat number. I'll do the math, thank you. So I don't want any help on that. There's the delta now. That's the apex of the triangle. This is the size, naturally 12 pip stop, 22 pip initial stop. Then we start to trail it. Now this did pretty good. These settings did pretty good on the 4-hour, and they would do good on another currency, maybe in the 4-hour, depending where that currency's at ATR wise. Now if the currency is in 1,000 pip ATR over the past 3 days, I don't think any of these, you'd have to take this to the 5-minute chart and trade it. So you'd say, oh, I know this would work good on the 5. You'd have to just have that in your mind's eye, that you know what the robot does for a living, and you just put it in front of a desk that makes sense for what it can do. Put it in front of an environment where it'll perform well. So it's like anything else, right? I mean, certainly the people that work in the back office or people on radio may not be good looking, but they're they have a niche, and so each one of these things, you could do a sample rate of 1 day and just say, look at this thing in the 5-minute, blow your mind. Of course, it's really, you would just look at that chart. I haven't done it yet. You would take, say, 3 days of data, and if you can get your robot to read 5 minutes of data, which sometimes it's looking to collect enough ticks to initiate the playback of these things. But if your sample rate, you can see what it's thinking. You see the pip range, so you put up a pip grid and a template. Load the template as it's playing back. That's what I did here. Load the template. So you can make a template to go along with the playback of the market. And if I go to back to my playback here. Okay, so we got your take profit at 55 pips, and this is what it did over the period of, I don't know how far back this goes. This is 2015, February to, I think, a year and a half. But it doesn't matter, because what matters is, what does the chart look like during that period? What is the pip range? Because if you look at this, there's times when if you were to open the account, say right here, you would just think, oh, look at top, became bottom, right? But look right here. This is just the way it is. So this is just mirroring what the market does, right? The market's going like this. This is going like this, because this is getting whipsawed. Although it is making money, like had you opened up your account here, in fact, you would just say to your broker, can I just have the money we made here, and you can just keep this pull back. So equity has the same thing. So if you're wondering, well, why is it top become bottom here? Because it's just trading the chaos of the market. So you're chaotically making money, but you have to be all right with that in some regard. Because if you end up here over this amount of time, sure, you could have, now the other robot hopefully is trading on the, this is a 4-hour playback of the market. So the other robot would be looking at, say, the 1-hour chart. Now the half-hour charts in playback mode and the 15-minute charts don't do well. I think they would actually do better live, because I noticed that the 1-minute live charts, when you run this particular free, some guy just wrote this thing years ago, it'll actually engage, it'll start trading. But I have one broker that won't take the EA, so I got 5 brokers that'll take it, and so I'm gonna be running it on the 4-hour. Is certainly takes less trades, but that burst breakout. So say I was to pick a smaller sample rate here. I'll just go to take this down to just a very, see how tight I can run it before it crashes on me, before it just doesn't load. That was another thing. I could never get these to load. Very frustrating to try to test the market. Okay, so this one's running. So I have a template here with a grid on it. Throw this up. Should be able to see the 10 pip handles and the 100 pip handles there. And this is going to risk, see, it's fastest playback possible. The template will slow down the playback too. If the playback's too fast, as soon as you put anything on the screen, even the simple, you're going to see so this is just out of the gate. Okay, you're up on those trades. Now the other robot could be trading in the other direction on that, and you know that was a 55 pip move, so that you made your money. You couldn't have done better. Now it could reverse here, and you could get whipsawed now. The other robot's coming in at this point, and he's on the 1 hour chart, or he's got a different, he's on this chart too, but he has a different take profit. Imagine 3 different take profits there. So that's pretty good for not having to babysit the market. I just don't really think it can get any better than this, honestly. You could say, oh, well, it's in an uptrend, I'm going to buy. Yeah, really? Okay, so if you bought the moving average crossover here, I got it. Like if you had a 1 period crosses the 2 period here, but why? Just let the robot. You can see how you have to write the script. Now the ATRs have just changed radically. Would you, I don't even know which position it's in here. Can't tell if it's long or short right now, but if you go to time, it should be coming in here at the time. And sometimes this doesn't refresh, and you end up with, in fact, right now it's not right. See, this is order number. You have to almost reboot the platform to get this to go away, it seems. I don't know how to delete all these. There's no way to even, so I don't know what's going on there. But this is what I'm looking at, 11th trade. Now we go sideways for a while. Now, when you see the ATRs drop like this, you're going to want to get out the scalp bots, or the same script, but just it's written just to take a few pips. Now the big outlandish moves right here, you know, you could turn on your I'm going to risk 25 to make 50 pips here, and you would have made it, right? You broke out, went up. So that's just, it's really time frame dependent. It's also pip dependent. Just like almost like the real market, it's pip dependent and it's time frame dependent. So that's right now I'm running 12 risk 12. I'm sorry, risk 55 pips. No, sorry, risk 22 out of the gate. Then it's going to trail the stop. You can actually watch this thing tug the. So your worst case scenario, if it moves in your favor, you're only going to lose 12 pips, and it's, you know, but imagine you've got one that risk 13, 14, 15, 16 pips. Now they're just going to take you out a little bit softer, but now you could be possibly over trading. You're certainly going to use more spread, more margin. You're going to have to pay for the spread over again. So this is on the dollar to the yen, and it's got a pretty tight spread, and on the euro to the yen, I think those two would be plenty to chew on. You could have 4 robots on the 4 hour chart and 4 on the 1 hour chart, and let that go. That's quite a bit of trading, actually. And right here, this pullback here, hopefully the since you're in a 30 pip range right there, the 15 pip, the 30 pip take profit stops have gotten in on the 4 hour though. In other words, the right now, since we're looking for this glorious 55 pips, we're having to take some punishment here. Now, at this point, if it had the pendings, I think if you increase the delta, it's possible to get the pendings to linger out there until they're hit. There doesn't seem to be a time limit. They just sit there until they get filled. So how close do you get into the market is the other thing that's kind of going to give you an insurance policy, but it's also going to give you a little bit of a cost. You're not going to make the screaming pips. So I think we all can see when the market's going sideways, something's got to give, and the magnitude of the explosion out of that is really the thing to consider. So if you really are, you don't have to. It's not like a black box. It's thinking. If you look at the chart, you're like, I know. You just say, I know that would need to have a monster stop on it. Not that it's not going to be a great breakout trade. So I'm just saying breakout trades are risky, but if you On the 4-hour chart, they're not as risky pip-wise. And who wants to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning when these things go through these psychotic breaks and ripbacks? Nobody's going to whip out a fib tool if the market just plunged 1,000 pips. People are just, like this Keel Stokes said, you know, we don't want the market to ruin our charts. But, you know, the market's hell-bent on ruining your chart, especially if you're drawing off the wicks. You know, this is hell-bent. So I'm going to babysit this playback here and try to come up with, the 4 hours seems to be less trading. There's only 6 chances a day to blow up your account. I start with a 4-hour breakout system. Tune this thing up to the pair you're on. Then the higher frequency trading is going to be the 1-hour chart, and it's going to be really, you're going to have tight stops on that. I was able to make money with tight stops on that naturally. You know, it's a smaller vibration. But see here, it's getting hit, and it's going sideways. Now here's where it beats up. Any breakout bot gets beat up in this stuff. But this is actually a trend bound way, because once it starts to move, if I'm on this train, I don't care if it's going up or down out of this thing. And it could pull back. You know, you just don't know. So if I skip to the end here, I blow through the whole chart, let's see how the story ends. And see, now it's not, you can't say over time, oh, look at this thing makes a bunch of money over time like it's crazy. Now, maybe if you took the sample rate way the fuck out, but it's all about the ATR. See, now it's getting killed. Right? So it has its moments of pure genius, and here's got to be news or something. When you see the equity smash down like this. Now, eventually, after about quite a bit of time, this does make money when the market gets into the ATR that this thing likes. So you built a box, like a flag box or a rectangle or a triangle, a delta. You break out of this thing, and it's as simple as that. So I don't know what this, but the settings are definitely critical. So if I go to the, let me load a scalp orientated. This is risk 5 pips, risk 8 pips, risk 12 out of the gate to make 32. So if I put this on the, if I run this on the 4-hour chart, you can see the, we'll just go through the, skip to the data here. I didn't pay attention to those numbers in the end there. But you know how it started. It looked good in the beginning, everything looked rosy. But this is more scalp orientated. This is not looking to make 55 fucking pips. It's not greedy. So if this is running at the same time the greedy one's running, then hopefully this is going to make, after all these trades, will make enough money to make up for that discrepancy in the last test. So you're layering all these guys on top of each other, so you can have a scalp in there. You can have, and these are, you don't have to babysit the market, right? Look at this. So the settings here are 8, 12, 32. 8 is a trailing stop. The 12 is the initial stop, and 32 is the take profit. It's about better than, it's like a little better than double your money, especially when you come in with this 8 pip. You're saying it's a scalp. It's a stop out scalp. You're scalping by getting stopped out of a slightly up trade, and that's why it's doing so well. Because the money management's saying, you know what, I'm not greedy. You know what, if they kick it back on me, I get out. You know, it's going to do way more trading, I think, because maybe it's getting stopped out here. But now, if you just looked at this, you'd say, "Oh, I like this. This is much better." But in coincidence with the other one, now if I run the really scalpish one, which is risk 5, risk 10 to make 20 with a trailing 5 stop, 4-hour chart, mind you. So this is that kind of burst trade that I should just put it to vision too. So to collect the data here, you're really at the mercy of the broker's data. Okay, so this is literally a scalp situation. Risk 10 to make 20 in a 4-hour breakout. So this is probably very spread dependent. I would run this on the ECN broker for sure. But if this is making on these big runs here, if that's 20% of your trade and the other trade is the kind of longer version, and maybe doesn't stop you out, because this must mean you're getting stopped out here when this comes back. So you have this is like your, because when this is coming back, it's obviously getting stopped out, and then finally it makes some money. So whereas the other one, if you had a wider stop and a wider take profit, it's just going to look real chunky like this. It's going to look like it's hardly trading. And I don't know what the commissions add up to on this, because maybe you're getting killed on commissions even though you have a tight spread. So I would run a Euro. You know, the best robot data has got to be the Euro, because you have a tight stop even on a bad broker, and you just got a nice delta, and you just got this. This is just like a non-directional options trading platform. This is, you put straddles on all day long. This is a straddle bot, really. Same thing. Anyways, that's the dealio. I'll put the list of I'll just put a folder of expert advisors only, just to plug in. You can so I'll put a link to this experts only thing. The thing is that there is one in here that has a bad time on it, and one of these I did there's one to say J. I kind of screwed those up. I have to delete those off there. So those are all corrupted. Then this one shouldn't be in here. It's just a copy. Dragging issues. Okay, that's the way it is. So you can see the scalp here is a 16 pip stop to make 32. And I have a 2 period ATR. So if you run that one, you have slightly different results too. So it gets pretty subtle here when you get down to the scalping world. If you look at this chart, then you look at this 8 pip stop, 8 pip trailing, with an initial 16. So it's like double your money out of the gate, and then a trailing 8. I didn't write down any numbers here, but you can imagine. You can keep track of all that shit. Write down all the numbers and see which one did the best, with which it's going to trade. It's looking for a bigger breakout. The 4-hour, it's going back 2. It's looking at an ATR of 2, which is already kind of like a moving average. So it's kind of smoothing it out. But it actually trades more, it seems like. I don't know. Maybe give bigger breakouts here. It's almost like if you're running this on the 4-hour, it's like an 8-hour chart now. It's like an 8-hour breakout. Maybe these are more dramatic breakouts. So it's done trading, I think. So if you kept going, that's still trading, I guess. I don't know. No, it's start. Once this starts, ready to go again. But take it up to a little bit further in the future here. See how it does on the. So this is like an 8-hour ATR, I suppose, breakout system. If you know that you have it set to you keep everything the same and just change the ATR by 1 notch. And maybe both of those are running with slightly different stops. So the diversification, like ultimately I'd say, hey, if you got the time, you got like 10 robots on one currency pair, 1 hour, 4-hour, things just churning away. It's making money. Certainly want to be aware of the ATR though. In the rearview mirror, you have to know that if you're going to try to run an 8-pip stop when the election news is coming out, you may have a problem, right? Especially if the spread goes beyond the robot's limitation, that's going to be a huge problem too. But it's certainly fun to watch this thing try to, well, I guess I'm asking it to try to make money. Watching a robot get lost in the market. But yeah, it's not a panacea. It's not gonna always make money. So it had its climax here, and just like a market, see the volatility is very, like here. There's literally probably no look back. It just keeps on chunking along. We've seen the market do that. It just keeps going. It certainly pays its rent here. There's some nice runs there, but wow, it's pretty. Like this red here is probably the news came out and it got butchered there. But you can almost believe that this would run, at least on the euro, on the major pairs. You could probably run it on the. Let's see. There's probably the British pound it runs on, but you got to give it certainly some latitude to pop pound up here. Keeping the same settings may not work though, so you could have a big problem there on this. If you go to the, especially if you go to the wide spreads, I think the pound's definitely twice as wide as the euro. So I think that would be a situation that you'd want to be careful of. Australian dollar, it's pretty liquid. I guess it's the Canadian dollar. I don't know. It's really a limit. It seems like a limit market. I haven't tried it on that yet. But I know the euro to the yen I tried, and it was very brutal because it's very wicky. The spreads get crazy in the Asian session. You have to turn the robot off and have them only come in. You could have the robot just come in on the most liquid session where the stops are tightened up. So you know that you've got the right, around the same spread here, 1 pip. Some brokers will give you 1 pip, but maybe not. This is the pound to the dollar with the exact same scalp script, a 4-hour time frame. So you're going to risk 16 out of the gate to make 32. It's a wide enough stop, I think, for the pound. So it does pretty well. There's a nice smooth run there. So if you have the same account, I mean, you could run the same robot. You don't have to worry about choosing which. You don't have to read a chart. You don't have to. How to read a chart? How to predict direction? You don't have to do that shit. You just worry about the magnification, about the volume, about the quiet market like that. I mean, I don't know if you could have wide enough stops, but if you had EAs out there, they would have made money on the depegging the Swiss franc. That totally broke out of a range. Presupposing your EA was set to have a 200 pip stop to make 1,000 pips. But I would have no problem with that because as opposed to running a script where you got to come up and hit a button, I'm just tired of hitting buttons, to be honest with you. So you just get tired of hitting buttons, and you're just going to automate what you know happens every day, all fucking time. Market just goes berserk. So why would you want to torture yourself unless you're a complete masochist? Which I guess I'm a recovering masochist because I used to trade manually. I used to be like, oh yeah, this is going to get. Oh yeah, this is going to look like a good setup here. Good setup. Yeah, it's a good setup, but you know, you can set up a bunch of gear and you can nobody shows up. And you're in a loss the moment you pull the trigger. So you just get to be really. And I would just trade live money with this thing. I mean, Christ, I know what I want to. I know an entry when I see it. When everybody says, "Oh, the market's dead in the water," I'm like, looks like a time to get in cheap. I mean, either direction, right? Looks like a time to get in before the thing gets nuts. And when it gets nuts, some people are like, "Oh, great, it's going up. I wanted to make sure. I want to get confirmation it's going up first." then I'll get in. Or I'll get in on pullbacks. Well, geez, you know, I guess if you're trading $1 million position and you got your finger on the trigger and you're sweating buckets and you're like, oh boy, this better be a good trade. But if you're just going to let some robot go out there and just trade like for 1Ks, my God. I mean, how bad can it go, you know? And this is if I put in a bigger, so I'm on the British pound, I would just assume, okay, let's go for a 20, let's go for a 12, and I'll even put a filter here of 5 ATR filter. Let's see what this looks like. British pound. And I didn't write down the last numbers, but I have been writing them down since I'm talking. I'm not writing down. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, apparently. But so I was writing down a tally of who's winning, and we have a winner. So a lot more latitude here on the stop. This is going to be, I guess, ATR appropriate for this currency pair. We're risking 22 to make 44 with a trailing 12. So it'll have, but it's kind of greedy, and it's on the 4-hour breakout. Now, if I put this on the daily, you'd say, "Oh, that's great. It's hardly trading." So I would actually have the daily. I can't believe I'm saying this. I would have a daily breakout system, only because if you have a day job, seriously, you got this thing churning away, right? And it's sitting there looking at the 1 hour. I'd say anything below 1 hour, you got to babysit this thing. It has to be a managed event. It's like having somebody off the street work for you. You have to make sure they're not stealing stuff. Keep that in the back of your tool list. But I would say, and this thing's done trading. Now, how long is this thing traded for? That is a year and a couple of months. So if I go to the daily, so here is, I've traded 1,000. Let me see if it's getting my results updated. I think I have to wait for the whole series to end. Yeah, here we go. The whole series is done. You can't get a real-time update on the trades. You can if you restart the platform. You will see the results come in real time on here, but this platform is not doing it. So you got 1,017 trades, and we made. I'm just going to change one thing here. I'm going to change the time frame. I'm going to go to daily after this, and we ended up making. Okay, so we made. We're at 11:56. 882. Okay, so we're gonna let this bake on the daily, and then we have a lot of trades in here. So I don't know if the commissions are killing you. Oh yeah, here's the report. Everybody likes to see this. Profitable trades. I don't know what these numbers mean. So relative drawdowns 4%, and profit factor is 1 point whatever. Consecutive wins is 3. I don't even know these numbers. Anyways, I have no idea what that means. So let's run this on the daily with the 1,000. So that's quite a bit of trading. Same time span, but just go for the daily now. I would hope this is somewhat accurate. Spread's pretty tight on the British pound. I guess we're going to assume 3 pips maybe here on the playback. Probably switch that to 3 pips. So now it's daily, and I think it's going to do this data set pretty quick. Still looking for that glorious 44 pips out of the gate on a daily breakdown. When it's over, it's over. And this might be in the trailing 12 pip stop on that. So here would be the fake outs, I suppose, or at least the pullbacks. Now here you could have it where it's going to make 100 pips with a 50 pip stop, maybe on the daily bot. So you just have like a day ATR day bot, an ATR 4-hour bot. I would just name them, unless you're gonna read the pips and just know that, oh, you know, I've got to run this 25. The market's out of control here. 30 pip trailing with a 50 pip to make 100 on the daily. Maybe you do make the 100. So here we just got to, so we didn't make as much money here on the daily, and we didn't trade as much. But the amount of trades on the other one, you know, you're kind of getting to a bigger balance because you traded more. You traded more on the 4-hour, made more money than trading breakouts here. And just for kicks, I go to the 1-hour. Let's see, between these two, what's the best? But anybody that has a robot, the people say we got to optimize it. Well, instead of optimizing, I say just build robots that are pre-optimized for certain situations, just like you would write a scenario script for a certain situation. So in the 1-hour, you're going to take some heat. You're going to take some serious heat here. Now this is set to go back 5. It also has the 5. I still have the ATR 5 on here, which is smoothing out the ATR. All these runs are done with smooth ATR, so it probably comes in handy on the 1-hour because now the 1-hour looks like a 4-hour. So it just went beyond the amount of trading on the 4-hour. We just passed the 1,000 trade mark here, but you got a smoother equity curve. So now we're all the way to 13. So getting a little hit there. But this is doing pretty decent on the... Now, if I put this ATR of 1 on here, it's probably going to maybe trade more. I'm not sure. Actually, I think I've been testing. It's been trading more on this. So it's definitely getting up there. And there's you know, the targets here are set to 44 pips. So in the 1-hour, that's a realistic trade. It's really about how it looks. Now the ATRs could be changing here as it pulls back, and hopefully the other systems are coming in underneath it. I had a nice run here. These first 300 trades. How many times does this guy trade? Look at this, 18 pips. The stop loss was hit, but the target's hit. I don't know which one hits the actual. It's trading both directions. It has to. It's a pretty objective system. If you go, the last trade there is on the 16th. So it's doing about, it's doing at least 10 trades a day or something on the 1-hour. It's quite a bit of trading. I mean, here's your profits. Biggest winner was pretty much the target, which don't really get much here, I guess. Take profit. So this actually hit the take profit, where the other ones, all the other stops are just scalps. Pretty interesting. Really fascinating as hell. I mean, I just can't imagine now. We're going to have to run this puppy tonight, get him churned up, get him going. That one, I'm just disappointed that one broker that I've been publishing it that doesn't let me out of the trades very quickly is not accepting any of these. So I give up on that broker. He's not taking this robot's directions. A lot of modifications here. So here's another winner at the target we were supposed to hit. Certainly a lot of trading. I think I just went over another one that was the target hit. And I could do it on the the half hour. Now the half hour is about is you know, I don't know if you trade more on the half hour. So here we're at 13,000, 1360 something. So 1360, and we did about 2,900 trades. I'm going to run this on the half hour. So just keeping everything the same. And now we do a time frame. But we're really looking for the ATRs. We know the strategy works. It's just ATR and time frame. And how many pips is, how tight is our stop? All right, we know this system works. We just have to get it to fit the situation. The half hours, less, way more trading. Now when you get down to 15-minute chart, then you're going to babysit this thing, because maybe you got, oh, so it's done trading. Didn't trade too much there. Half hour. So let's just do one more. I'm going to put the big kahuna in here. I'm going to risk 50 out of the gate to make 100 on the British pound. And here I would say let's go for the and so 2-period ATR. Go to the 4-hour. So this would be a real breakout on the 4-hour. One of those real breakouts, not a fake out. ATR, it's actually it's like an 8-hour breakout, 8-hour flag. You'd be breaking out of a rectangle, triangle, whatever have you, batwing. Not a batwing, actually. That's just such a projection into psychosis. Okay, here we're looking to really get hammered because we have a 50-pip stop in this thing. And then a 30-pip trailing. So worst case scenario, if it goes in our favor and kicks us out, we have a 30-pip. Now you could put a 50-pip stop with a 25-pip trail. That makes all the difference in the world. See, now they get clobbering me. So this would be a fake breakout. See, now, or it just didn't follow through. The ATR's not there. So if I run this on the, say, the guppy, it may look like a wonderful situation. I'll put the guppy on here. That might have been a bad fit for that ATR, so I'm going to put it on the guppy now. If it'll even trade. The guppy's got I got the spread unrealistically tight here, but I just want to see how it performs on the guppy. With a 50-pip stop, I don't think the spread's going to matter too much, but it's a 4-hour guppy. A guppy can move 100 pips. It's doing a little bit better here after it comes off the floor, but you can see that you'd really have to adjust that stop. You might even have to run 75 pip stop to make 150 pips with the trailing. So the guppy's kind of brutal for that. A lot of wicks, a lot of slamming around. It's coming out of the woods a little bit here. 500 trades in. And I got a tight spread on that, so wider spread on that. Yeah, it's just going to take a long time. And not to mention, a lot of these illiquid pairs consolidate. They range so much. You'd have to have a limit bot trade this. This is like the dollar CAD. Dollar CAD's going to look like shit too, because it's not going to give you a clean breakout. I think dollar CAD on here. I'm running the 4-hour dollar CAD here with a initial 50 pip stop to make 100 pips with a trailing 30. 4-hour chart. And the ATRs on that CAD can be pretty hairy. This also allows you to trade, if you have enough money in the account, more than one currency pair for whatever type of drama that pair is involved in. That's a 4-hour chart. So dollar, it's doing great on the dollar CAD here, but I wouldn't sell this and be like, I got a dollar CAD bot. Well, I guess you do in a way, but you know, it can always change. And you really have to look at the nature of these markets. Now that guppy might have needed a 100 pip stop to make 300 with a trailing 50. Whatever's going on in this currency, whether it's going up or down right now, you just wouldn't have a clue. It's definitely getting stopped out here continually on that 50 fill. So the market's ranging. You know the market's ranging here. This clean breaks. So here you may have to go to the 1 hour. So if you look at this, you're at 700 trades, like 1150. The 1 hour is definitely going to, here, let me give it a bad spread of 5 pips, and I'll go to the 1 hour. So now I'm in the 1 hour with the same 50 pip stop, ATR of 2, so it's like a 2 hour ATR because I'm on the 1 hour now. It's like it was like before it was like a whatever. So it's just kind of getting whipsawed here. It's over trading on the, this is on the 1 hour. And who knows what the daily looks like. See, now had you opened your account right here, you'd say, wow, I really like this robot you built. It's just so wonderful. I don't know what, but of course, if you drop the bot, now if you know the market's quiet at this point, imagine this is the market and that's the actual price, and you just say, I'm going to bracket that and let it go. So you put your bracket bots out there, your straddle bots, and you just go, you know, come on, I don't care. Let those guys run, let them do their magic. And so maybe you're getting killed over here, but the other robot's making money on their time frame, or the other instrument. So they are wiping me out here because I'm over trading on the 1 hour, and they keep slamming the market up and down here. So, and plus I have a bad spread in there. I'm pretty sure that's a 5 pip spread. Five pips on that. So that's why you cannot trade breakout strategies with, and here's the daily. So this would be a less trading. And these should be able to make 100 pips here, the 50 pip stop. Guess not. Spread sucks. So it's also getting chopped out, possibly on both legs. It's like a big delta. So if you put this to a psychotic half a pip and look at it on the daily, I don't mind if the thing's over trading and making money, but if it's getting slammed by the spread, see, that's like a perfect spread, and it's still getting slammed, so it's not the spread's problem. Comes off the mat a little bit there. So you just have an ill-fitting, the market's too chaotic, you can't even take advantage of any moves. So it's really a very, this is the wide, now this is the 5 period ATR on the daily. Certainly a lot of experimenting to do, but definitely worth all the fun because you can just picture this thing trying to make money. That's a daily scalp there. I mean, you're just only trying to make 44 pips on something that can really take quite a move. So it had a little bit of hope here. Didn't look too bad. See, it does better. Scalping always seems to do better. This swing trading, I would say, if you combine this with limits, so imagine you have a limit grid out there, and you've got this thing trading the breakout into your limit grid, retracement grid. But that's a dicey thing, because you really want a robot. What I really want is this ATR thing, but instead of placing stops and bracketing, when the ATR expands, it starts to throw limits on either side of the market in a but I'll scalp just fine. Scalp, I could do that manually. I could look at the ATRs and say, okay, the ATR just went to 10. I'm going to throw a grid that's 100. Like when the ATR goes to, say, 200 pips on the guppy, I can just have a symmetrical grid I drop. Meanwhile, I got this thing scalping for me, because I don't want to have to sit there and go, okay, here we are back at support, order, and I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it anymore. I know what I know what I want to. I know what makes money, and why wouldn't I just do that? Well, for a lot of people, I guess it's I want to be able to say, look, I made that call. See, I knew the market was going to go this way, and that's definitely got to be the ultimate thrill to make people are saying, oh, I knew who was going to be president. Well, people on both sides of that. But nobody's giving out any money. Well, I guess people sign up for your service because, oh, look, you knew where the market was going to go. But what if you don't know where the market's going to go? What if you're a complete moron? And I guess you could be a moron and be completely functional. Like they're making fun of this, I don't know, this girl from the news. The stuff I hear in the news now, I'm like, oh boy. Yeah, they're talking about this girl from The Shining, this Duvall girl, how she thinks that people, people are shape shifting, and maybe she's a great trader. It wouldn't. I don't think that it disturbs her faculty as far as if you told her, listen, when you see this 100, when it says 100 here, push this 100 button. Right, and that would launch this EA. It wouldn't be too hard, right? Well, and just following directions. So, just that simple task. It's a simple task, trading. But I think when you put all that other stuff on top of it, like, yeah, but I've been looking at this pattern, and I've been stalking this thing, and all those emotions that you have invested in the outcome in a certain particular. I guess this is like, people say, can you read the market? People want you to learn how to read the chart. But the first millisecond you look at it, you would say, first off the bat, you'd say, wow, it's all over the place. If you wanted to put a direction on it, I don't know if you can. It's so time frame dependent. I guess I would say how to read a chart. It's a mess. It's just a mess of price. How to get on that, how to ride the bull, how to ride the thing, how to get in the flow. Then people talk about price action. I'm like, yeah, I know, there's price action, all right. Now, are you jumping in at the edge of that price action? Are you sitting there with your finger on the trigger, like if you were in a place where deer were running by at 1,000 miles an hour, could you shoot that deer? Could you kill a deer? And then the next deer comes by, and he's just standing there, and you're like, really? This is crazy. But the thing is, 1,000 deer just ran by. You could have killed 1,000 deer if you had the right timing. So it's definitely a difficult situation to not believe, and I guess it's a belief system that you don't have to know where the market's going to make money. If you hold that belief, then you wouldn't have any problem buying and selling at the market and walking away with a stop and just going, oh, whatever. How do you know you're going to be wrong on that? How do you know? You could put on a hedge and walk away. How do you know you're going to be wrong? You don't really know. I mean, you could be halfway right, and your target was 20 pips and you made 10. And maybe you're just happy to get out there because you think, you know, this doesn't look like a good trade. So you get out at the 10 and then you kick yourself because it did go to the 20. You're like, fuck. All those decisions, if you make them up front before the week starts, so on a Sunday you decide next week I'm going to risk $50 on this scheme. And you build a scheme, you build a bot, and you set it and you let it walk away and let that robot do its thing. If you put it on a, you know, VPS or whatever. I don't think I want to do that, but just because then I got to worry about my connection to that thing. So if I have like the files on a laptop or a tablet and I have them in my possession, I can always throw all that stuff on a USB and back it up myself. I don't even trust the cloud. You know, I just don't trust remote storages or stuff like that, because you got to be able to, like, if say you wanted to go up north or something, you want to take your files with you. Just saying. You kind of want to have your stuff with you, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. Gonna see what happens with some of these demos. Plus, I can test drive these demos. I am going to try to run this. If I ran it as a buy only system, on I haven't tried it as buy only side. Let me just try that just for kicks here. Let's see what happens if I tell this thing to go for a buy only scheme. So inside of here you can test it for long only, and since I am trading breakout, I want to take advantage of both directions. But if you thought there was a trend for some odd reason, for some ridiculous reason, now let's take a look at. So you're around made like $156 with 170 trades. So yeah, you made 156 with 70 trades here on the daily CAD. And I'm just scalping. I'm scalping that. Let's see how much money I can make. Just long only, and I don't know which way the market's going here. Can't see the chart. So let's take a guess here. See what we get with 170 trades. Long only. Probably maybe it won't even trade. It's looking for 170 trades. Maybe how many trades you think it's going to do? I guess if it does less trades, it doesn't really tell me which way it's going. Okay, it seems to like the market going up. So we got to get to 170. And maybe it wasn't an uptrend, right? So if you just tell this, now it's actually a trend bot. It makes money on breakouts on the daily chart going long. Got to get past the 1,056. So we hit. We're up $200 there for a little bit. The other, you could also have a sell bot coming in underneath to counter this thing. See, now it's getting killed. Coming up to 170 trades. I guess almost the same amount of trades, but see, it got its ass kicked. It had that wonderful run there, up $200, and maybe you knew that the market was turning there. And funny enough, you get this, just like price, you get a channel there. So if you see your robot doing this, you're like, he's gonna make money pretty soon. You just hold in there, son. Now it's getting kicked back. It's getting kicked out, but you can see it's so cute. You can see the it's just like the market. Go figure. Triple bottom. Yeah, this is what I bought. I only buy robots that are in this phase, but it's true. It's been proven over and over again. If you're buying the top performing fund, you just bought right here. You just put your money in the fund, and you're like, wah wah wah. So, anyways, that's. I'm trying to tune these robots up before the market opens. Classic.